Good day, my name is Jayne Pilot, President of Pilot Performance Resources Management, Inc. And this session is going to be covering two parts. First, the changing world of management systems, and then process audits to the new ISO 19011-2011. My background includes being a trainer in international standards since 1993. I am a certified auditor. I'm an author, a trainer, consultant, speaker, and I have been doing this to the ISO 14001, 9001, and the OHSAS 18001, as well as providing training for auditors to the 19011. What is the purpose of auditing? Let's first look at what is required. In the ISO 9001 standard, the clause 822 related to internal auditing, the requirement is that the organization conforms to its planned arrangements, and they check this through an internal audit to the international standard requirements and to the organization's requirements themselves. The internal auditors are also checking that the management system is effectively implemented and maintained according to the management system standard that is applicable, whether it's to 9 or 14 or 18. So how do we audit? This is very key. Management system audits are to be conducted to processes and not clauses. So what is the key here is that what are the processes in the organization? Have they identified what their processes are? ISO 9001 has a process model in the standard. It outlines its processes from management responsibility to the resource management to product realization to measurement, analysis, and improvement, looking at what are the inputs to the organization for the customer's requirements and what are and have they met customer satisfaction being the output. And the whole process here looks at continual improvement of the management system. Organizations need to determine what their processes are. Here is a picture showing some of the key processes for, as an example, for an organization. Looking at senior management processes, looking at strategic planning, setting up policy, objectives, and key performance indicators, and organizational structure, management review, etc. Then looking at what are your support processes. Most organizations' key is to the bottom line, so of course your support process is financial. Quality control, you could have environment, health and safety, emergency preparedness, information system support, human resources, maintenance, facility. And then when we look at the business realization processes, a lot of organizations have sales and marketing. They could have engineering, where they deal with the design and development, and then looking at the production, looking at the operational controls, the field applications. And another key process is the continual improvement process, looking at customer satisfaction, looking at the monitoring and measurement of the management system, its internal audit processes, corrective and preventative actions, compliance to legal, and inspection and test. So here we're looking at determining what the organization's processes are, and this is at a high level. So that when you go to audit, you are taking each process and you are looking at auditing that process. You're looking at auditing the inputs to that process, and you look at many questions that are tied with the identification of its plans and then ensuring its implementation for documentation, operational control, and training, competence, and looking at the improvement through its monitoring, through its measurement, through its management reviews. So you're looking at the inputs, you're looking at the outputs of each one of those processes. So in that step one, we look at identifying, is the process, first of all, clearly identified? And that goes to the clause 4.1. What are the applicable documents that are tied with this process? That's tied with the control of the documents. And is there work instructions? What are the records? And are the documents available for this process in areas where they are needed? Look at what the customer requirements are for this process. Has there been any changes within the process? And what are the identified risks tied with this process? What are the legal requirements tied with the process? And then what has the organization determined as objectives and targets tied with this particular process? Step 2 of the process audit would be to ensure. Ensure, is there evidence that the process is being carried out as planned? Are they following their work instructions? Are they following their procedures? Are personnel aware of the policy statement of the organization? And what does this policy statement mean to them in their job? Are adequate resources and infrastructure provided for this process? And the area of concern here too is the outsourcing. What is outsourced related to this process, and how is that managed and controlled? Are competency requirements defined for this process? And have we ensured in step 2 that the criteria identified to ensure the effective operation and control of the process is identified, and is it actually being followed? Does the organization implement actions necessary to achieve its planned results? What evidence is there that the operations are completed, that they're monitored, that they're measured? And are suitable methods used to monitor and measure the process? Are actions for continual improvement put in place, such as the objectives that have been set in step 1 identify? Are they being met, these objectives and targets? Now, as I've shown on this slide, on each one of those questions, it applies to a certain clause, and this is applicable to all processes. Other areas, depending on the process, you could ask questions in your audit related to traceability, related to customer property, related to product preservation, inspection and test, and non-conforming product. Step 3 is improve. Has the organization improved in its process? Are customers satisfied with the output from this process? Is there opportunities for preventive actions? Has this process been analyzed as being meeting the requirements, but also that there are opportunities for improvement, and in what areas. What corrective actions are applied to this process? And has this process been reviewed through the management review process for its performance, for its productivity, for its profits? Is the organization running effectively and efficiently? What is key in an organization is to also ensure that the processes have in place a system that manages the management system changes, because this is where we can have issues that could be tied with many parts of the process operation. Integration of management systems is a very key part to eliminate the duplication of documentation, the duplication of people doing the same activities. Look at an integrated management system for quality, environment, health and safety tied to the bottom line for financial. There's many things that are similar, what those consist of. An integrated management system has 3 steps for its implementation, whether it's for quality, environment, or health and safety. In each one, you need to define a scope. So you could have a scope for all 3. You need a management commitment. You need that implementation team. You need your training in the individual standards, and then you need your processes to be identified and the risks that are tied, whether the risks are for quality or environment or health and safety. The process to identify the risks would be similar. And then looking at not having 3 policies, but having 1 policy for your integrated management system, covering off your quality, environment, and health and safety. And the process for setting objectives and targets throughout the organization, you would now have a system where you could determine what objectives you're going to have for quality, what you're going to have for environment and health and safety. And you can now define out the resources applicable to those different areas. In step 2, ensure your documentation you're not duplicating. You're having 1 manual that describes your management system for all systems, for quality, environment, health and safety combined together. Your responsibility for those different areas is outlined. You have training, a training process which outlines the different training not only for 1 area but all 3. You are looking at communication tied with all of your standard requirements. And then looking at business realization for sales and marketing, engineering, materials management, your elimination of duplication of documentation is really done in this area of documentation. In step 2, ensure. Step 3, improve, is looking at the monitoring and the measurement and the analysis. And continual improvement, you can now have 1 audit, looking at the audit of your management system for your integrated management system. And 1 system for handling all your non-conformances and your non-conforming product. 1 system handling all corrective actions, preventative actions for quality, environment, and health and safety. And when your management reviews, it reviews the way it's operating its business to all 3 areas through its management review, looking at the effectiveness and the efficiency of the way it's running its business for all of its risk areas. So I support the integrated management system it does assist in many ways to improve the company's operations, and it works closely with the bottom line.